Talk here on PRN. I'm Doug Rice, joined by in-studio Alexis Erickson, and, of course, Brad Gilley, lead anchor for the Performance Racing Network. Before we jump into talking about 2311, I'm just going to get this out of the way. Can we get through a Martinsville broadcast without two things? One is the paperclip. I am already over that. I don't know. Brad, when did that start? It's not always been that way. I've been going to Martinsville for a long time. This seems like a fairly recent iteration.
I feel like we've had it for a while, but I don't disagree with you that it might be getting a little bit overused. Look, we also talk about New Hampshire Motor Speedway being a paperclip style racetrack, but somewhere I feel like maybe Martinsville or just the media have tried to give ownership to Martinsville for that. It's not the only paperclip style racetrack on the circuit, but sometimes you get that buzzword and people start to latch onto it and then overuse it. And when it gets overused, it's no longer fun.
Then go out and get Staples to sponsor your race.
Right?
I'm serious.
But it's not Staples. It's not staple shaped. It's paperclip shaped.
But their logo is a paperclip.
Yeah,
that's true.
I mean, there's a logical tie in there. Use that.
Yeah.
Just like my other thing with Martinsville, and I love Martinsville. I love it. I've been there. I bought tickets to the place. Okay, and I'm in the media. We don't buy anything. So lay off the hot dog stuff for a while. We got it. They serve Jesse Jones hot dogs. They're $2 each. I love them, but you don't have to eat up a tenth of your airtime talking about the hot dogs.
Pun intended.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I like this. We have Angry Doug today. This is fun.
Well,
what else grinds your gears?
It just agitates. I've got some other stuff. I made some notes, but there were things that I was watching yesterday. I'm just like, enough with the hot dog already. We got it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go there like in pre-race, sure, to talk about like the vibe, things that are happening, but literally cutting to it in the middle of the race while things are happening on the racetrack, I didn't love that.
We've seen all that before.
Yeah.
There was nothing new or original you can do with that.
Now, I agree with you on this point, is that sometimes we stereotype a place, right?
Yes.
And Martinsville is exactly what you just mentioned. It's hot dogs, it's paper clips, it's grandfather clocks. And that's all part of its DNA and identity. I get that. But like for me, living in Texas, I get frustrated when any sporting event comes and you have those opening shots of longhorn steers and different things like that, which, yes, those exist and those are around here, but that's not like the only thing that happens here, you know?
Yeah.
Or you go to Nashville and you see people wearing shorts and cowboy boots. The people who live there don't dress like that. But I'm with you on overused stereotypes of a place.
Get a lot of oil wells when you go to Texas, too.
Yes.
By the way, folks, if you haven't picked up on Landman, you need to be watching that. Now,
yes, you do.
Let's talk about 2311 racing. And Alexis, I feel like maybe there's been a juxtaposition of their two drivers, at least early in the season.
It feels that way, just as a casual viewer of what's happening, because I feel like, at least for the past 3, maybe 4 weeks, we've heard a lot about Bubba Wallace. He's been running up front. He's been running really well. He's got 2 top 3 finishes in a row. And it feels like we're not hearing as much about Tyler Reddick. And certainly we're used to seeing that maybe flip-flopped, right? And Tyler being the top driver over there. And he actually is ahead of Bubba in the points, only by a tiny bit. So he's also having a good season, but it seems like his season is quietly so, while Bubba, I think because we're so used to him, you mentioned before we came on the show, we're so used to him, having some struggles out of the box, kind of burying themselves in the points early on and then having to work their way back up as the season goes to make it usually on points. And that's not happening this year. And I think because that's something we're not used to seeing, we're talking about it a lot more.
No, he's not going to have to throw a Hail Mary and win at Talladega, it looks like, to get into the playoffs this year. Let's hear what he had to say after his third place run at Martinsville.
No doubt. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. The last few races, to start the season, just wasn't meant to be. And so accepting that and moving on and showing up with a fresh mindset has been the name of the game for us and our group. And as many times we were knocked back, we still kept charging forward. So that's all you can ask for.
Brad, I kind of feel like Bubba Wallace is having self-awareness now. He even realizes sometimes he comes off kind of as a smart aleck and is sarcastic. And he referred to that a couple of times during the broadcast. And I think that and being a new dad, we may be getting a different version of Bubba.
Yeah, maybe so. Like any young person, I mean, he's maturing with life, but he's also maturing in his career. Talking about 2311, two things stand out to me. Look, I expect Bubba to be good at Martinsville. He won a couple of Truck Series races there, and this is a place where he's had strength. But a third-place finish is pretty spectacular. To Alexis' point, he backed that up from a third place at Homestead Miami Speedway. What I really enjoy about this is he has a new crew chief in Charles DeNike. And Charles DeNike, you look at his record and you say, man, this guy's collected a lot of trophies. In the Truck Series, which he has done with Christian Eckes over at McAnally Hilgeman Racing, they've just gelled. And they've done it quickly. I mean, we're only 7 races in, and they're sitting 8th in the standings. And again, to Alexis' point, compared to his teammate, he's only 5 points behind. I mean, that's it. They're that close together. I think another thing that surprised me as well, don't expect Tyler Reddick to necessarily run great at Martinsville, but I do at Homestead Miami Speedway, and it just didn't seem like they had that there last weekend. So, whatever shift is going on, I think, time is going to tell how that is. But here's the other thing, too, 2311 Racing, and I'll take Riley Herbst out of this because it's a new team there, and he's a rookie. Now in their 5th full season in NASCAR, both of their drivers in the top 8 in points, both of their drivers contenders, one of them last year making the championship 4. They've made up a lot of ground here in just 4 years and 7 races.
Yeah, Riley Herbst struggling right now, 33rd in points. He is only ahead of Cole Custer and Shane Van Gisbergen, drivers and Cody Ware of drivers that have ran all the races.
We talked about this too, before coming on the air, Doug, about how when you look at the top 10 right now in the point standings, it's Hendrick, Gibbs, Penske, and 2311. They're kind of the ones that you don't expect to see in amongst those other, core big 3 teams. And so they are, in my opinion, even in their 5th full-time year, as Brad said, they're maturing, but they're boxing a little bit above their weight class this year. And it's easy to see that just by, the numbers on the sheets.
And the sleeping dragon that is Team Penske has not yet woken up.
It will.
It will, but because they don't do that early in the year. But mid-season they get there. But right now we've not seen them flex any kind of muscle, and only the kind of adjunct 21 team of Josh Berry has really flashed.
I think what's been surprising to me about Team Penske more than anything is kind of these we're so used to hearing Penske perfect, all buttoned up, but they've had engine failures. Yesterday they had issues with their electrical systems and 2 of their cars, the 21 and the 2. Josh Berry and Austin Cindric both had that. I'm not used to seeing that type of mechanical issues from that group, so they need to get that worked out.
Penske reminded me on Christmas Day they ran out of batteries.
Yeah, they ran out of batteries.
It's just not supposed to happen, folks. All right, I'm curious. In our next segment, I'm going to get Alexis and Brad's take on the end of the Xfinity race at Martinsville.
Drivers, start your engines!
Atlanta Motor Speedway is built for battles, high speeds, tight packs, dramatic finishes.
Crossover move! They're 3 wide for the lead!
But you've never seen Atlanta Motor Speedway like this, under the lights, where every moment feels bigger. Experience the Quaker State 400, available at Walmart Saturday, June 28th, under the lights in Atlanta. Get your tickets now at atlantamotorspeedway.com.
This is Kyle Petty for Echo Park Automotive. As you might imagine, I know a thing or two about cars, and I'm here to tell you about a whole new way to buy a car, truck, or SUV. Did you know that Echo Park Automotive has over 95,000 5-star reviews? On top of that, every car that Echo Park Automotive sells goes through a 190-point inspection to make sure that it looks and drives like new, so you leave happy. It's even in their name. Echo Park Automotive. Every car, happy owner. The official used car dealer of Speedway Motorsports.
I'm Chase Elliott, and you're listening to Fast Talk on the Performance Racing Network.
Time to pull down on the handle and and start rolling them here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
The green flag flies at the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
We're about to contest the Coca-Cola 600.
We're racing at Texas Motor Speedway.
Now Keselowski goes way up the racetrack.
Here comes Harrison Burton. He rockets to the lead.
Trouble. Car goes around. It's Chris Buescher.
Joey Logano battles to the outside. They come back to the start-finish line.
Bubba Wallace looks inside, and now here's Byron. Takes a quick left to block him. They head back to one.
Here goes Ross Chastain. He's going to the bottom of the racetrack. Bubba goes up. Blaney hits the outside wall off of turn 2. Can Christopher Bell do anything with him? He gets down to the bottom of the racetrack.
Briscoe dives to the bottom of the racetrack, side by side. They get loose. They spin. Now Tyler Reddick does a 360. So does Briscoe.
Heading into turn number 7 as he wraps it around. The crowd is cheering for Daniel Suarez here on this final lap. Allmendinger gets into Alex Bowman. Ross Chastain back out to the front for the final time.
This is PRN.
Welcome back to Fast Talk. As a rule, we don't spend a lot of time talking about the Xfinity series on this show. But we got to slow down. This is like onlooker delay on the interstate. You know, we've all seen a wreck before, but, I've got to watch this. Look at that. That's awful. That's exactly the mentality we're applying to the Xfinity race at Martinsville. 14 caution flags, 104 laps under the yellow.
Wow.
And that includes a red flag. And that's in a, 250-lap race?
Nuts.
That's not good. That's not good. And they just collectively started unwinding in the third and final stage, and then it was topped off by, on the last lap, we watched Sammy Smith just obliterate Taylor Gray, who's leading. He comes from 4 car lengths back, throws it into turn 3 and 4, sends Gray up the track, crashes out half the field, and good on Austin Hill. Made a nice move to the bottom of the racetrack, came on and got the win. So by now, most of you have already heard, have seen the clips over and over again. Let's hear from Sammy Smith.
Yeah, I'm not proud of that, but I mean, roles reversed, he would have done the same thing. I mean, he's got no respect for me. I didn't move him those first prior restarts, and he was flipping me off on the red flag, swerving at me, and it's definitely uncalled for, and I'm not proud of it, but he would have done the exact same thing, and that's what I told him. And if you're not the one doing it, someone's going to do it to you, and everyone's going to dog on me, and I'm not proud of that, but at the end of the day, it's what you got to do.
Well, you know what, Brad? I did not know among the talents that Sammy Smith owned was the ability to read minds.
Right. Yeah, he would have done that to me. Okay, when has he done that to you before? You know, that's the one question here. And it was just a bad move. I mean, look, and if you were curious as to how hard Sammy Smith hit him, look at the hood of his car and how crumpled up it got. Then look at the field behind him, including teammates. I mean, he made a simple run to the checkered flag look like a wreck at Daytona, Talladega, or Atlanta. I mean, he took out a lot of cars, and this is the thing. You know, for Sammy Smith, I'm going to steal a page from Doug Rice's book and quote a musician here. And the great Neil Peart wrote of respect, so hard to earn, so easily burned. And he burned a lot of respect on Saturday.
And it's hard to get back, Alexis.
Yeah, obviously the move that ended the race is the one that everybody's talking about, because that was the move, that heard around the world, if you will. However, this happened multiple times in different areas of the racetrack all throughout the race yesterday. I mean, Austin Hill, who went on to win the race, 50 laps before that or whatever, drove through like 6 people in front of him and caused an issue. So are we seeing like a generational divide of how young people in the Xfinity Series race now than how who's in the Cup Series used to race? And will that eventually transfer? Is this what we're going to get 20 years from now in the Cup Series? I hope not.
Well, Sam Mayer was also a wrecking ball.
Yeah.
He was knocking people out of the way all day long. This has been kicking around in the back of my head, so I'm going to ask both of you. By the way, Matt Colleague's coming up here in just a little bit, along with A.J. Allmendinger, so we'll be talking to them. Brad, of all of the drivers right now racing in Xfinity, give me the 2 that you feel like are most likely to move up and be successful. And it's okay if you guys duplicate answers on this.
Jesse Love and Connor Zillich.
Wow, that was
Those
quick.
are the two.
Yeah, I mean, Connor Zillich, obviously, he is the name. You know, he's the one that we've heard so much about over the last, feels like 6 months. His name has come up so much, and he's got so much talent, not only in what he's done in stock cars, but in other forms of racing, too. He's a proven winner, so I absolutely agree with Brad. And I think Jesse Love, too. You know, Carson Quapple, I could see potentially there, you know, be some success for him as well. But when you think about what we saw yesterday and even what Sammy Smith said after the race, well, that, you know, if I didn't do it, he'd do it to me. Like, it's kind of like the chicken and egg thing. Like, somebody has got to say, this isn't the way you race. But how do you make these young kids understand that it's just not supposed to be that way?
Eckes may, over time, after he matures a little bit more,
Potentially,
our
yeah.
sample size on him. But I've got to agree with both of you, especially when you display this kind of behavior. Nobody's buying that, Sammy.
Yeah,
nobody's buying that, and I'm sure his car owners are not buying that. He's gonna have to live with this a long time, and we've not even heard what NASCAR has to say about this. This move is not much different than what Austin Dillon did at Richmond, except Austin had enough savvy to go on and win the darn race.
Yes.
And not wreck the entire field.
Yeah, not wreck the entire field. He took out one guy, and he won the race. Yeah, he paid the price. He didn't make the playoffs. But in this was just messy.
I mean, imagine the outrage had Sammy won. I mean, the outrage is it's huge just based off of what we saw happen on the racetrack. But if he had gone on to win, yes. I mean,
I'd have more respect if he had won. And I don't really have any respect for it. I mean, you know, there were a lot of things that happened in that race, nothing that severe. But if you're going to do something like that, at least get a trophy. I doubt it would get him a playoff spot. As Doug said, as we're talking about this now, that remains to be seen. But if you're going to make a move like that, make a move to advance your position.
Yeah, if you're gonna commit armed robbery, do it at a bank, not a 7-Eleven. Make the reward worth what you're trying to get done. Coming up, Matt Collig, AJ Allmendinger talk about things going on at Collig Racing.
Motorsports isn't complicated. It's made up of races where you go as fast as you can, as best as you can, and as sideways as you can. Our team, Toyota Gazoo Racing. Toyota makes some seriously fast cars, and they all have great drivers, ones that win a lot. Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, they're all part of a big, happy family of speed demons. Now you're up to speed. You in? Follow the action at tgrna.com. Toyota, let's go places. NASCAR is a registered trademark of the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, LLC.
This is Kyle Petty for Echo Park Automotive, and I'm here to tell you why you should shop Echo Park before you buy a car, truck, or SUV. Over half of inventory at Echo Park is priced below $25,000, and car for car, truck for truck. Echo Park Automotive's pricing is $3,000 less than the competition. Maybe that's why Echo Park has over 95,000 five-star reviews. Echo Park Automotive is built to make sure you drive away happy. It's even in their name. Echo Park Automotive. Every car, happy owner. The official used car dealer of Speedway Motorsports.
I'm Eric Jones, and you're listening to Fast Talk on the Performance Racing Network.
Hi, it's PRN's Brad Gilley. Did you know you could take PRN with you anywhere? That's right. By downloading the PRN mobile app, you can listen to our live race broadcast from anywhere. Make sure you don't miss a second of the action from the track. Download today for station listings and on-demand access to your favorite studio shows like Fast Talk, The Pit Reporters, or Garage Pass. Get all the latest racing information at your fingertips with the PRN mobile app. Available in the Apple App Store and on Google Play.
Hey, I'm Corley Joy for Speedway Children's Charities. The mission for Speedway Children's Charities has remained true since its founding almost 40 years ago, to care for children in educational, financial, social, and medical needs in order to help them lead happy and productive lives. So many children have benefited from our group in the past, but we need your help now more than ever. There's so much we can do when we all join together, so let's start today. Visit speedwaycharities.org to learn more. I thank you in advance for your help.
thrilled to have some live guests join us here on Fast Talk from his palatial offices. We have Matt Collig of Collig Racing, and from his office, he's in a car, AJ Allmendinger. Guys, thanks a lot for being with us.
Man, it's good to be here. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday for sure. Hey, Matt, I want to talk to you about some pretty cool milestones that you have going on right now. Obviously, 20 years of leaf filter, which has been ingrained in NASCAR for quite some time. 10 years of Collig racing in the Xfinity Series. Can you just talk about what it means to reach those milestones as a business owner, and the success that you guys have seen over that time?
Yeah, I mean, even well, and I appreciate you bringing that up. It has been 20 years. We're celebrating this month, or actually in April, the end of April, our 20th anniversary. 20 years ago, I started this little tiny leaf filter, gutter protection, little contractor business out of my house. And now we've grown to, I think we did $300,000 or something like that in business. And now we've grown to the largest home improvement, home products company, direct to consumer in the U.S. and Canada. I mean, I've got 150 offices in the U.S. and Canada, and we continue to grow. So even this past weekend, watching, Christian Eckes ran the leaf filter, Chevrolet in the Xfinity race, and just seeing it out there. But it has been 10 years. I mean, I think we were a $67 million company back 10 years ago. And that's actually how I got into NASCAR and how I got into the sport, is literally as a sponsor. And as the company continued to grow and I continued to make more money and started to get competitive with it. I mean, that's how we started Collig Racing. So it's been 10 years of Collig Racing. I think it's been 11 years with leaf filter on a car as a sponsor. And so, fast forward now to our 20th anniversary, we'll do, I don't know, $1.8 billion in sales, and it's continuing to grow, and we're continuing to love the sport, and we're continuing to love to even be a sponsor in NASCAR. So it's really cool.
Yeah, that is pretty incredible, and a lot of successes along the way. Obviously, off the track with the company, on the track with the race team, and everything. AJ, let's ask you about a pretty big milestone. You had an extra kick in your step walking around the South Point just a few weeks ago at Las Vegas with a great induction into the West Coast Stock Car Racing Hall of Fame. How about that?
Yeah, it was kind of surreal, I guess. It was when they first gave me the call and let me know that I was going to be inducted. I was kind of in shock. It's something that, in my career, I guess I never set those milestones or set those goals. I just always wanted to be the best that I could be. And I continue to try to do that. Matt knows that a lot because I call him a lot, telling him if I apologize for struggling during a weekend or the celebrations that we've been fortunate enough to have together as a race team. But it was a special night. Chris inducted me. Matt was there. We had a lot of Collig Racing employees and drivers there. So that was a lot of fun and just just a really cool experience that I get to remember for the rest of my life. But hopefully I can still add some achievements to that Hall of Fame resume.
AJ, how hot does the flame burn for you now on the competitive side of things? You've raced practically every kind of car on the planet, and you've had success. How much is still in the tank for AJ Allmendinger?
I mean, if you ask Chris or Matt and them having to deal with me, probably more than ever, which is kind of scary. It's I've always said that if I go have a bad run or I feel like I've let the team down and I kind of walk away and shrug my shoulders and say, no big deal. It's just a race. That's probably the time I have to quit. But I'm far from that. It's it honestly drives me insane of trying to be better and be at my best for Matt and Chris, all the Collig Racing employees. And I just want to keep getting better. I'm working hard to always constantly try to figure out how to get better. And that passion just drives me. I have always said it's good and bad at the same time, because when it's going well, I'm super happy. When it's going bad, I'm miserable. It's I have the best life in the world, and it's probably why I'm unhappy every day, because it's not good enough. But yeah, I just want to win races, and more importantly, I tell this to Matt all the time, and constantly try to let him know that I just appreciate what he's allowed me to do, especially if we call this the second half of my career, or the second life, when I thought I was retiring and I came back. So we've done some really special and amazing things together, and I just want to keep adding to that.
So, Matt, does this mean if we ever see him with a black eye, it's because he beat himself up?
Well, it's probably because I hit him. Or Chris hit him. Somebody hit him. No, he beats himself up, but he is a Hall of Fame driver, and I don't know that you intend to do that, but I mean, AJ, how old are you now? 41, 42?
40, yeah, we call it 41. I'm 43, Matt, but
43 already?
Yeah.
But I mean, AJ's fire is is burning as strong as it ever has. But he's, and I thought about this even a few weeks ago, even when we were watching him get inducted into the Hall of Fame, and he's at the peak of his career. I mean, right now, he's driving as good as he's ever driven. He's in good equipment. He's actually in a good place, and I liken it to like when Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and those guys were at the height of their career, at the end, almost at the end of their career, but it's like things slow down on the field. And so I look at AJ that way, where it's like, all right, he's this savvy veteran on all of these courses, that is up against some of these young bucks, that are trying to get it done, that make mistakes and everything else. And AJ's just, he's in a good place where he's at. I do think he's got several years left in his tank and what he wants to do. It will be up to him, exactly what he does, but he ain't even close to being done or losing skill or anything like that. So, we'll see what happens, but I'm super proud of him. And even getting inducted, let me give you guys a stat that even astounded me, even during the ceremony. Like in NASCAR history, AJ has won 14. He's won the most road course races in anybody, in the 3 series in NASCAR history at 14. The second place driver is Jeff Gordon at 9. Jeff Gordon and Kyle Busch are tied with 9. AJ Allmendinger has won 14 road courses in his career, and he's not done. So, I just think that's a cool stat.
Well, we were at the South Point the weekend you guys got inducted, when AJ got inducted. And I think Brad Gilly and I may have been wearing out a penny slot machine when we saw AJ stroll by. And we went like, that's really cool. There's a lot of people, AJ, that are pulling for you in that aspect.
I appreciate that. And it's, I think the one thing that I guess I wasn't ready for to a certain extent was, you reflect a little bit, right? Like you have to, first I was scared to death to write a speech. I hadn't had to do a speech in a long time. So that was like the most nervous thing about the whole night. But you start to reflect a little bit. And that to me was what was the most fun about the night was, Matt was gracious enough to buy a table. I don't know if it was the smartest thing. He bought the number 1 table. So we were up front. So
we're P1.
Yeah, so I don't know if that was good because they got to see all the shenanigans of Christian Eckes and Daniel Dye and Trent Owens and Alex Yantz and everybody that showed up. But I had to start reflecting a little bit on the fact that what I've done in my life, but more importantly, and Matt talks about leaf filter, and I was that's why I was smiling while he was talking, was because when Chris Rice called me, he said, would you be interested in driving, a few races for Matt Collig in the Xfinity series? And I knew what Collig racing was because I'm a fan of the sport, but I had no idea like who Matt was in general. And I remember asking Chris, I was like, how long is he going to be in the sport for? I mean, it's gutter protection. Like, How big of a deal is that? And then Chris started throwing some numbers at me, and I was like, oh my God, like, that is impressive. Like, and getting to know Matt, and I only knew Matt from the commercials that he did. That was it. Like, that was my first exposure to who Matt Collig was a guy who would get on TV talk about gutter protection. So long story short, that was like the coolest part, was reflecting on the last 7 years that we've been together as driver / team owner, race team. And a lot of the amazing things that I thought I wasn't going to get to do, like kissing the bricks at Indy, winning oval races, things like that. So yeah, it was a fun night. It was special.
Well, Matt and AJ, congratulations on these milestones. That's awesome. Leaf Filter will be in business as long as there are trees, folks. I think so. Their future looks bright. We'll take a break and come right back.
When it comes to maintaining your engine to run at peak performance, trust Z-Max Micro Lubricant. Z-Max soaks into metal, so it's easy to add to your oil or gas to disperse carbon buildup in your engine, fuel system, and transmission. Protect your vehicle's engine to the max with Z-Max. Check us out at zmax.com or visit us on Facebook and Twitter to find out more about our full line of products. Remember the name Z-Max for your car, big rig, small engines, firearms, and more. That's Z-Max Micro Lubricant.
I'm Austin Dillon, and you're listening to Fast Talk on the Performance Racing Network.
Dale Earnhardt, he's almost been deified. There's a mystique about him that's never been attached to any other driver, including your dad.
I think there's two things for Dale Earnhardt that make him who he is. He was that guy that's your neighbor. I don't care if you live in a mobile home. I don't care if you live in a mansion. He's that guy that was your neighbor. He's the guy that was out in his yard planting his plants. He's the guy that was out there mowing. He's the guy that was out there doing it. He's the guy that drove the truck. He's the guy that got up under the car and changed the gear. He's the guy that put on a uniform and jumped in that car and became your hero on a Sunday afternoon. And you could identify with that. He's really that last guy. And he is, in the words of Tom Wolfe, last great American hero, the book that was written about Junior Johnson. He is that last guy to a lot of people. And he was going to have that following no matter what. It moved to a different level because of what happened at Daytona. Billy Joel, only the good die young. And that's the way you remember it. So I think that moves you to a different place too.
Well, that was kind of fun talking with Matt Collig and AJ Allmendinger. And salute to both of them. It's hard to stay in business that long with Leaf Filter. It's even harder to stay in NASCAR for 10 years. And I'm impressed. I was going to do, Brad, the old joke about, you know, how you make a small fortune in NASCAR.
You start with the big one?
Yeah. But I just thought, you know, that might be true for him. I'm not sure, so I'm not going to ask. All right, let's move to this.
It's time for another edition of Green Flag, Black Flag.
Right, I love this segment, and I hope you do too. We're going to have some fun today. Reading statements carefully prepared for our panel, and if they agree with the statement we read, they give it a green flag. If they disagree, it gets a black flag. And they're all in harmony. And there it is, right there. All right, here we go. Oh, do we have the segments here? Hold on.
Carefully oiled machine here.
It's smooth sailing here, and it's all we have to do. I should say this is brought to you, but no, it's not brought to you by
We had a sponsor at one time, but after this particular episode.
This episode right here, it just kind of went away. Now, David's run upstairs to get this really quick.
We should have timed him.
He's pedaling down.
Yeah.
Here we go. Thank you very much. My script in front of me. Here we go. We start with Brad Gilley on this one. Denny Hamlin will reach his goal of 60 wins before he retires.
Green flag. I do think that's possible. 55 is a pretty big number, but Denny has more in the tank. And being the opposite of Doug Rice, I'm ready to put people in victory lane as opposed to take them out of it.
Oh, okay, Doug Rice. What do you think?
It's yeah, he'll hit 60.
Oh,
he will. All right.
That's
he
so
sounds
funny.
Certain. He
so
sounds certain.
yeah, I'm gonna say black flag.
Oh. Why?
Well, Denny Hamlin is, I think, 44 years old. Obviously, he doesn't seem like he's slowing down anytime soon. However, I think it was Jordan Bianchi said he's putting out an article soon in The Athletic that states like Martin Truex Jr. was like 42 when he last won his race. Jeff Gordon was 43. Jimmy Johnson also under 44. And 5 races, even though it doesn't seem like a lot, it could be a lot for a 44-year-old to get in this day and age. And considering it was almost a year from his last win to now, I don't know. I'm going to say black flag.
All right. Doug Rice, we go to you with this one.
By the way, I hate it when people use reason and analytics to give a good answer. That was really good.
Yeah, look, he could certainly prove me wrong, absolutely. And I'm sure if he heard this, he would say that, I was full of something. But
hooey.
Yeah. I don't know.
Man has a lot of bills to pay.
The stats back it up at this point,
Yeah, there you go. Doug Rice got this one for you. Penske will not win a race until after the All-Star race break.
I'm going to green flag that. I don't think their groove is where it needs to be right now.
Okay. What do you think, Alexis?
Well, first of all, I have to look at a calendar to see when the All-Star race break is. It's only in like a month, right?
A month and
five weeks.
Yeah.
I'll say green flag to that too, just because, like I said, I do truly believe that they will exercise these demons and start to get wins as the year progresses. But they have a little bit of work to do right now, and it might take a little bit more than 5 weeks.
Take a little while. Okay,
Yep.
Brad Gilly.
Black flag. Even though I said Joey Logano wouldn't get a top 10 until before Easter. Look, Ryan Blaney's been way too fast. We have too many tracks coming up that are good for all 3 of their drivers, really. Don't forget Talladega's in that mix somewhere, too. So, yeah, they'll get a win before the All-Star race.
All right, Alexis Erickson, we start with you on this one. Drivers would stay in the sport longer if the season was shorter.
You mean like throughout their career, like they would stay?
Yeah, they would. That's
okay.
right. They'd make it a longer career.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, burnout is real. Certainly, when you think about the fact that we run 38 weeks a year, I think this season we only have 1 off weekend. Granted, most of the drivers are quite pampered and have private jets and all that stuff. That makes it a little bit easier. But yeah, I think so. I mean, because burnout is a real thing.
Brad Gilly.
I would say black flag. I think we're starting to see kind of the same numbers. And look, for me, I don't think 38 weeks is enough. I think we should move the season to 52 weeks.
I predicted you would say that. I knew that was coming.
Black flag.
Doug Rice.
I'm going to agree with Alexis here. I think drivers would hang around a little bit longer if maybe we had 30 weeks of racing. I mean, and I tell you who gets pounded are the crew people.
Yes.
And the proverbial guys back at the shop. They never get a break. I mean, they are not pampered.
That's true. That's very true.
All right, let's go to Brad Gilly on this one. April will bring a win for Bubba Wallace.
Black flag.
Not this month.
No, I think they've been fast. They've led almost 100 laps so far this season, but I just don't see it happening here in the month of April. And remember, they have less races in April than they did in March and what they will in May because we have the Easter break.
That's right. Doug Rice.
I'm going to agree with Brad Gilly there. I think that's a black flag, not because Bubba's not going to win this year, but Darlington, Bristol, that's a pretty tough combo. I don't see him winning at either one of those.
All right, Alexis.
Green flag, Talladega.
Oh.
Isn't that in
she
April?
names the race.
Oh, sneak in the old Talladega car. Nice.
Hey, calling my shot.
Nice.
I said Christopher Bell would win 3 in a row, and he did. So,
Doug Rice, we're back to you.
We're going to have to live with that the rest of the year. But, she did. The rest of us didn't do that. We'll take a time out. When we come back, one last thing.
We work hard to keep our cars looking great on the outside, but engine components need our attention too. That's where you can trust Z-Max Micro Lubricant to disperse carbon buildup in your engine and fuel system. To keep your car or truck running at its peak. By soaking into the metal of your engine, Z-Max Micro Lubricant improves performance, extends engine life, and reduces emissions. Trust the many customers who've said, "Thanks for saving my engine." Find out more at zmax.com or follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
Fueling NASCAR champions on the track for over 20 years to innovating 94 octane, the highest octane on the market. Performance is what Sunoco does. All Sunoco fuel at the pump meets the same top-tier standards as the fuel used in NASCAR. From the track to your tank, you can trust Sunoco to help your vehicle perform at its peak.
I'm Denny Hamlin, and you're listening to Fast Talk on the Performance Racing Network.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
Here's Christopher Bell.
My Toyota Camry TRD race car isn't cheap to build and prepare. I have a pit crew that maintains and fixes my equipment. I have a spotter high above the track watching my back, talking me through turns and potential dangers on the track. I physically train to handle the stress of driving. And I have software helping my crew chief and engineers make the right strategy calls. And with all this, I never take my eyes off the road, and neither should you. One distraction can change everything in one instant.
Do want to thank our guest earlier in the show, Matt Collig and AJ Allmendinger, and I will give them kudos. They are one of the more forward-thinking teams when it comes to getting out in front of things and making themselves available, and they've always done that. They didn't have to wait till NASCAR had a policy that pays people to do appearances. So thanks a lot, AJ, Matt. Appreciate that a lot. Let's go to Brad Gilley for this. What do we got?
One last thing.
You know, among all of the things to enjoy this year are some of the nice surprises we're already seeing. And whether it was Josh Berry winning at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, great to see that. Great to see a lot of extended performance from that team. To Ryan Preece, 3 consecutive top 10 finishes, has worked his way up into the point standings. Even Todd Gilliland had a top 10 last weekend. Looking at some of the teams who we didn't expect to perform well this early in the season, we already talked about Bubba Wallace earlier. You can count him into that category. I'm enjoying what we have right now because it's not just the same players every week, although a lot of familiar faces have been in victory lane. I do think there are a lot of great storylines beneath that surface right now, and tune in. You're going to enjoy it.
All right. Well thought out there from Brad Gilley. Alexis Erickson.
Yeah, I want to send a shout out to Charlotte Motor Speedway and the Auto Fair that is this weekend. And the Auto Fair has been happening here at Charlotte Motor Speedway for years and years and years. But one really cool thing about this particular weekend is it's the debut of the 10 Tenths Motor Club, which is a brand new state-of-the-art facility that Marcus Smith and Rick Hendrick have kind of come together on. And Doug is going to actually be doing the PA for a Pro-Am race this weekend.
They're doing a Trans Am Pro-Am race on Friday, and a challenge where people have paid to be teamed up with a driver, and each one of them will go out and turn a lap, and the team with the lowest combined time wins.
And I think I saw an advertisement that said Jeff Gordon's going to be getting back in a race car.
Our buddy Kyle Petty's going to be in a car.
Yep.
So Scott Pruitt's going to be over there. It should be fun.
If you're in Charlotte, come out this weekend to 10 Tenths Motor Club because it's going to be pretty cool.
For my one last thing, because I want to stay in character and on brand, the walking exit interview that drivers give. And Taylor Gray, I know that you were the victim of an egregious foul administered by Sammy Smith, and you got pushed up and you didn't win the race, and that's awful for you. I feel for you. But when somebody rolls up to you, especially network television, and they want to get an interview with you, and that's not been too often in your career, by the way, stop. Stand there like an adult, answer the questions, and then walk away. You're not big time yet that you can make the TV reporter and the TV crew walk all the way down the pit lane. I know you're upset. In no other sport do you get away with that. A golfer misses a putt on the 18th green at Augusta, and he finishes second in the Masters. You know what? He stands there and answers the question. And that applies to every driver. It's the thing that used to bother me about Kyle Busch. He'd make you do the walking interview. He doesn't anymore. And if I had my way, there would be a fine for the walking interview.
I was just going to disagree with one thing that you said, and that was that he's not big enough time yet. And that's true, but I don't think any big-time driver should do it. You should give the respect to the person that is standing in front of you, doing their job, bringing the sport to the person that is consuming it at home or on the radio or whatever. Take the time, give the interview.
I know you're upset. Brad Gilly, have you had to do the walking interview as a pit reporter?
Absolutely. And here's what I was thinking. On the flip side of that, I literally thought to myself, I never had to once walk with Jimmy Johnson. I never had to once walk with Jeff Gordon. I've never had to once walk with the people who we look at and we admire and respect for who they are outside of the race car.
Well said. That caps that off very well. I don't like it. I'm never going to like it. Stop. If you win a race, guess what? You're standing there and you're talking.
Yeah.
Or if they're giving you an accolade, you're going to stand there and answer the questions. You don't make the pit reporter and the camera person and everybody else fight their way down pit road at the end of the race. So, Taylor, sorry you got victimized. You didn't help yourself with the walking interview. I don't like it. I'm never going to like it. So thanks a lot again to AJ Allmendinger for being on the show. We really appreciate that. Matt Collick, the folks behind the glass, David Stiles and Kent Bernhardt. I'm Doug Rice, joined by Alexis Erickson and Brad Gilly, back next week with a whole bunch more Fast Talk.
Fast Talk was presented by Toyota. For the latest Toyota Gazoo racing information, visit tgrna.com. And by Sunoco. From NASCAR to your car, Sunoco Fuel helps your car reach peak performance. This is PRN, the Performance Racing Network.